Hello, and welcome back, subscribers and new viewers. Today's video is going to be me sharing the reflections over the past few years for my channel and other projects that I've worked on, and my goals for 2025. Here's a quick glance of what I'll be talking about in today's video, but there will of course be more details and more information by the end of today's video for what's going on. To start off with, I still intend on making 2 videos a month, one Sunday and one Wednesday, miscellaneous shorts, and of course, because I can't fit everything realistically into 2 videos each month, there will be content on other social medias like the illustrations and comic pages, separate from my webtoons, which is still on hiatus, but I'll get back to that towards the end of the video. Inside the videos that I plan on doing with my speed paints and story times, I intend on making them about either my original characters, fantasy content, personal experiences like places that I might have worked at, or funny stories with friends, animatics, animation memes, and other project stuff like the comic stuff that I've attempted through trial and error with the failed mission mini fan art thing that I did for Undertale AU stuff. All of those are tests and trials and ways for me to share my characters' stories and bring them to life in fun ways. I might have a fun little idea, and I don't want to just hop on the bandwagon of trends, because that's what put me behind and made tons of rushed content over the past few years. I would see an animation meme in trending and try to get an idea in my head, make my characters that would best fit for it in that situation, and I'd end up making really difficult kind of scenes that I couldn't realistically work on because I don't work well with animation. I didn't sit down and do tons of studies like most people do when they do the animation memes, because I wasn't set on making animations my main thing. It was more for me to do them as fun ways to express, where illustrations and comics were more of what I could realistically do and wanted to do. When working on the original projects that I had about 10 or 12 of them that I've had to shrink down, with hundreds of OCs, which the reference sheets still aren't finished. I haven't made as much progress in drafts and even thumbnails for a lot of this stuff, and even when making my mascot, new emotes for you guys so that you can see me without actually having to see my face in a fun, creative way, I've also been trying to work on the Void. The Void's concepts are very new, and it's something that is going to be incorporated for lore for the channel for my mascot so that I can have some fun. Kind of like that weird VTuber lore, just I'm not planning on being a VTuber unless some magical stuff happens down the future road. But I also have Nexium, which is for all the OC's concepts and lore that is too small to fit into their own big video. So I'm just taking all the tiny stuff and sprinkling them together, like a bunch of little tiny networks of quilts put together to make one big whole fun thing, so that in between my content, so I don't get burnout, I can make fun little things here and there. Working on my main projects, which are still on hiatus, The Dawn of Gales and Twilight of Serpents, and most recently Reincarnated, 2 of those are webtoons. One of them is just a webcomic thing that may also turn into animatics or other just concept stuff when I make a story about it, kind of like what I do with Louvel, creating a fun little illustration that I can redraw every year to see the improvements and share with you the updates to the story that I've come up with, since back in 2017 my mindset was way different than it is now. Creating new adjustments to the characters and filling in any plot holes that might occur, and introducing new characters just for the fun's sake. And fun little one-off videos that might have collaborative voice acting similar with The Void is The Domain of Luxus, a weird little thing that started from a couple of nightmares that turned into their own character for me to combat that fear in a weird way. So my coping mechanism to some things is turn it into some vent illustrations that turns into a funky little story. I also want to make fan artwork that is properly in a stylized way to actually expand on style studies, working on improving and making some tips and tricks along the way, be it through sketchbook means or through digital means. I have a list that I've shrunk down. Undertale Alternate Universes, My Little Pony, Minecraft, Spyro, Sonic, Pokemon, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, Wings of Fire, Genshin Impact, Has Been Hotel, Hell of a Boss, and Detroit Become Human are the main ones that I would love to be able to work on, and there are tons of other art that I would love to sprinkle in, but hundreds of fan art means that even if I made one video each month dedicated to it, that would take an entire year for just a handful of them, and realistically that's not something someone wants to wait for. It was the same thing with my plans for doing one of the zodiacs for each year, or one zodiac per month. It was just something that wasn't something I was going to be able to realistically do while working on all of my other projects. Working on Art, Fight, Mermaid, and Sketchtober is one of those eye-opening things that made me realize that I need to plan ahead, like way ahead. Like right now it is December and I've already started Sketchbook 8, I've already got the ideas of what I'm going to be working on for January and all that stuff, which sounds like it should be very obvious, but for me, obvious and realistic and other things that pop up, such as unavoidable events around the world that are just something outside of my control, is something that I can't help. Busy work schedules, because I work part-time, I'm not doing this all from home, it's not my main job yet, it would be a basically turning from hobby to hopeful job is what I would like for it to become, with passive income and all of that stuff that most people do when they try to aim for working on a freelance kind of career. That is something that I would love to be able to do, but is not my current situation. It is just a goal that, while I work on this stuff as passion projects for fun and being able to work on it on the sidelines and working my way to rotating it, it is something that I have to kind of figure out what is worth prioritizing and what do I have to actually realistically set aside and wait on to be able to work on it. This year was more of a relaxed year when it came to what I was working on. A lot of it was hyperfixations and studies. Reincarnated redesigns for my alternate universe, Undertale stuff with the Skeleton Bros, making a bunch of new Skeleton OCs, was healthy habits that were kind of stretching to almost burnout. Now let me explain. One of the previous years, I can't remember which one, I worked on a lot of my Webtoons content. Almost non-stop. I created tons of illustrations, animation memes, and all kinds of fun content, made comic pages and all that fun stuff, and then I gave myself burnout. Something that I loved to work on eventually died out like basically a moth smacking into a flame. It was fun, it was pretty, it was all kinds of energetic little things, but because I didn't rotate things and work on other stuff, didn't really prioritize healthy habits, it was something that just crashed and burned. So I want to fix that when I do get back into working on it and taking the Webtoons off of hiatus. But from something that I did learn as well is hindsight was like a slap in the face when I looked at a overview of when I uploaded each of these pages. So essentially, the whole comic itself is called The Dawn of Gales, but imagine it was sort of like broken up into different books. There are 4 books, with possibly a 5th book as a prequel that may or may not be added into the story if it is required, based on what I have fleshed out for the skeleton and all the individual chapters that I work on, the scripts, and everything that I have already fleshed out up to a certain point. Now, of course, like most people, I created a bunch of this stuff ahead of time. I've worked on this long before I made my first post in 2020 of the first page called Training Day. Those were 10 pages that I worked on, and I was unfamiliar with Webtoons format at all. I didn't really know that vertical scroll comics were a thing. I didn't really know about the page format being that you have to have it be 800 by 1280 for the pixels, and roughly the whole 300 dpi for a standard proper image is fine and dandy. When I should have been aiming for, what I plan on doing is 800 by 12,800. That's 10 pages at a time so that I know what I'm looking at and can work on them 10 pages roughly at a time, because it was supposed to be approximately 10 pages as a minimum per chapter or episode, as Webtoons likes to call it. Not too bad. Something that I could realistically do. 1 post a month was my main thing, on top of all the videos that I was doing for YouTube, but back when I was working in 2020, 2021, and even all the way up to 2023, I was making almost 10 or more videos a month, with all the other stuff that I was doing, moving cross-country to the UK during those years, and all kinds of other stuff that was happening, was me setting myself up to fail from the start, because I wasn't realistically separating what needed to be done versus what wanted to be done, and those hyperfixations and spur-of-the-moment things just took hold and made me have a mix of burnout and art block. 6 months to a whole year between each chapter was not good for anyone who wanted to have a consistent audience. That was really bad on my part. 1 episode in 2020, 1 in 2021, and 3 to 5 in 2022 that were roughly spaced out, and then 2023 was the last ones that I had made, where I had to put it on hiatus at the end of November of 2023, because realistically, I didn't have enough content to produce on top of all of the time that it took to actually edit all of the other stuff. And working on my, channel. Being able to produce animation memes and other things requires time for animation and editing. Even for the videos that I made, when you guys would see the fun little speed paints, I still had to come up with a script, something to talk about in the videos, and edit all of my sprites on screen, which takes time, especially if I wanted to add funny little sound effects and other related situational things, like popping up images on screen. All that was done by me. Solo. Without the proper research and trying to wing it on the fly, learning by trial and error at the time, hindsight helpful now but wasn't then. So, realistic-wise, I intend on being able to produce my 2 videos each month while working on trying to revamp my comics so that I will have a new, hopeful set date for when I can take it off hiatus and consistently post those pages, be it 1 a month, with a lot more content set aside ahead of schedule. So essentially, if you're reading, let's say, chapter 5, I should be on chapter 10 and have all of those chapters one at a time so that I am ahead of the game instead of being 1 chapter at a time while working on literally the next chapter. And I also want to be able to fix the bubbles for speech and layouts of the pages now that I have a better grasp on vertical comics. It's not perfect, but it will be a much better improvement on what it used to be. Especially with the research that I have been doing, the studies on how to actually webcomic, and also the same thing goes for the confidence when it comes to my scripting and all of the videos that I aim to do for YouTube. It's not just for the sakes of comics, but also for your guys' sake, so that you guys have something that is reliable and something fun to enjoy, so that I'm not just spitting out content like I used to, doing this and having well researched on it while working on it behind the scenes so that when it is ready to make its debut, you guys can enjoy it officially, properly, and on time, without the interruptions of hiatuses, unless it is required for much larger, proper, official hiatuses, with me being more aware of things in the future with the hindsight that I have learned already. Because there's a lot that I haven't been able to share with you despite me making nearly like 500 videos on this channel alone. Everything prior to 2023 feels like it wasn't really the Stencil Fox channel kind of content that I would imagine I would really be proud of people watching. I have actually unlisted a handful of videos that are either irrelevant now or just stuff that I feel like I shouldn't have made and posted the way that I did. So some content is hidden away and some are actually removed completely, but everything else is going to stay as an archive properly, so you can see what the content used to look like versus where it is now, and new up-to-date playlists so that you can keep up to date on all of the new and current content for the future. So thank you all so very much, and there will still be one more fun little Christmas Sunday speed paint special before the year ends, and a fun little New Year's video for 2025. And after all these years, I would like to thank the subscribers who have been here the longest, because every one of you who does watch these videos and the comments that you guys have shared, I do read and enjoy hearing the feedback and getting to see some of the artwork that has been built up over the years for the subscribers gallery, and I hope that you guys look forward to 2025 as much as I do for all of what's to come, and it will not be like the previous years now that everything is going to be more well-researched and much more of the quality aimed for each of these videos, with a more well-balanced time management and schedule in place to make these goals become a reality so that you guys get to see this content without me having to tell you but show you every single time that I make these posts, and bringing these characters and stories to life and sharing a bit more about myself over the next year. Stay possum, subscribers, and hope to see you soon. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so very much. If you have not already, don't forget to leave some likes and comments and subscribe to join the subscribers squad. In the meantime, don't forget to check out some of my playlists, and if you would like any fan artwork featured at the end of the video in the subscribers gallery, tag me in it. I would love to see what you guys make. And if you'd like to support my works and see more, check out my card link below, especially for the patron exclusive rewards. £2 a month, the Fennec Fox tier gets you access to secret sketches and artwork early. The Arctic Foxes, for £5 a month, you get exclusive access to videos and webtoons pages early, and the Red Foxes have the opportunity to be featured as a background character or a commission instead, and your name read out at the end of the videos just like this. Thank you so much to Frankie Jr. 13. Stay possum, subscribers, and I'll see you real soon.